And while she wasn't paying attention to me, this weird woman walked up to me and started touching me in places that you shouldn't be touching a 7-year-old boy. And I vividly remember the face she made while she was doing it, so I quickly ran away from her and went over to my grandmother. And at that moment, a lot of things were running through my head as to why this woman felt the need to touch me there. So I just want to start off by saying this, right? Every kid out there should be very careful of the places that they hang around. And if you ever feel like an adult is trying to make sexual, physical contact with you, don't be afraid to speak up, because we have too many weirdos in this world. Now let me tell you about a time I came in contact with one of those weirdos, who happened to be a woman. This story was one that I wasn't sure if I wanted to tell because it was really disturbing for me. So back when I lived in Nigeria, I was about the age of 7. And if you've watched some of my other videos, I always talk about my neighborhood and how it wasn't safe and stuff. So before my grandmother had that terrible accident that left her disabled, we used to visit the park. And on our way to the park, we always passed this one woman's house, who we will call Miss Donovan. And I am not exaggerating when I tell you that this was creepy as fuck. She would always say hi to my grandmother and then look at me with this weird creepy grin on her face, and it terrified me because I always got some creepy vibes from this woman. Like, why are you, a 47-year-old looking woman, smiling at me, a 7-year-old boy, while making that creepy face? My grandmother laughed it off because she didn't see anything wrong with it, but I saw everything wrong with this woman. Well, for one, every time she saw me, she would forcefully grab my arm and put her nasty fingers in my face. Like she looked like the type of person that doesn't even wash their hands after they finish using the bathroom. So after she finished talking to my grandmother, as we were walking away from her, I turned around and I looked at her again. And she had this creepy smile on her face while waving at me. And at this point, I knew that there was something wrong with this. So fast forward 1 week later, and I was playing with one of my friends, who we will call Toby. I told him the weird creepy vibes that I was getting from this woman, and he looked at me and looked as if he was about to say something, but he didn't. And I looked at him and I was like, what's wrong? But he wouldn't speak. I knew that he had something on his mind that he wanted to say, but for some reason he didn't. And now in my head I'm thinking, what's up with Toby? He's never been the type to hold back on saying what's on his mind. As a matter of fact, Toby is a loudmouth and he talks a lot. And now I became very concerned. So after a couple of days had gone by, I noticed that Toby became more quiet. He was no longer the funny loud mouth that I knew. He became distant from everyone, including me, one of his best friends. And his family got worried because they noticed his strange behavior too. Because this man has been like this for a whole week. So one day, my grandmother decided to take me to the park. So as we walked past that creepy woman's house, she somehow saw us walking past her house. And she came out her front door and walked up to me and my grandma and started talking to her. Now I don't remember how everything happened, but when she finished talking to her, my grandmother looked like she got distracted by something and quickly looked away. And while she wasn't paying attention to me, this weird woman walked up to me and started touching me in places that you shouldn't be touching a 7-year-old boy. And I vividly remember the face she made while she was doing it, so I quickly ran away from her and went over to my grandmother. And at that moment, a lot of things were running through my head as to why this woman felt the need to touch me there. Like, no, this is my no-no square, nigga. So when I got home, I told my friend what happened, and he looked at me with a worried look on his face. He didn't really say anything, but his facial expression said a lot. And the one big mistake that I made was not telling anybody. So fast forward 1 week later, and my mom sent me to go get something from the store. Now, in order to get to the store, I had to take the same path that I took to get to the park. And from what I had experienced walking along that path, I was really uncomfortable going there. But this was my mom. I couldn't say no to her. All she wanted was for me to do a simple task for her. So I then took the money and went out to buy the stuff. And as I was on my way to the store, guess who I saw sitting outside their house? That's right, that creepy old lady was outside. And as I was walking past her house, she called me and I ignored her and kept walking. And she runs from behind me and grabs me and said, "I'm talking to you." don't you know it's rude to ignore your elders? I told her to get off me, but she refused. Next thing I know, she started touching my no-no square again. And at this point, I started to panic because I didn't know anything back then. All I knew was that this woman was touching my no-no square, and I was really uncomfortable. So I managed to get away from her grip, and I kicked her right in the fucking face. And then I took off running. And when I got home, instead of telling my mom the truth and explaining to her what really happened, I just told her that they didn't have what she was looking for at the store. And then I walked away. Part of me felt this horrible guilt that I didn't tell her the truth, because this was my mom, and I always told her everything, but I was just in shock of what happened. I felt really uncomfortable speaking about it. So fast forward 1 week later, and I told my friend Toby what happened, and what he said shocked the hell out of me. He said that this woman had also been touching his no-no square, and she told him not to tell anyone about this. He explained to me how it all started. First, she invited him over for some cookies and candies, and I was speechless from what I just heard from Toby's mouth. And then he explained why he's been quiet for the past couple weeks. It was because this woman had threatened to hurt him if he told anyone what happened. It just breaks my heart to know that people like this still exist, and they walk on this planet. The sad part is, this woman was never arrested, and only God knows how many kids' no-no square she has touched. Moral of the story is, if you're ever getting any creepy vibes from any adults out there, make sure you seek some help. Thank you guys so much for watching this YouTube video. If you liked it, be sure to smash that like button, show your boy some support. Share this video with your friends, and also go follow me on Instagram. Link will be down in the description below. Love you guys, and peace.